I'm going to make a real Italian favourite of mine, Torta della Nonna, which translates as the cake of the grandmother. And it's not my grandmother's or anything, although my grandmother's family came from Italy, so it's kind of sentimental. I'm going to serve it with strawberries and red wine, so I'm going to do those first because they need to marinate, and they're dead easy. You get 500 grams of strawberries, you whip the hulls out, you halve them, you throw them in a big bowl. 100 mils of red wine, something good. In Tuscany, they'd use Chianti or something like that. 4 tablespoons of sugar and a nice pinch of ground cloves. And you can make this several hours before you need it. They'll just get better and better. Just leave those over here out of the way until we want them. Now, I'm going to make some custard. You get 200 grams of sugar, 4 egg yolks. I've got 100 mils of grappa, the zest of 2 lemons. Before I do anything else, though, I'm going to put some milk on to come to the boil. Right. So, stir all that up. I mean, this is basically what the French would call crème dessert. And it's thickened with flour. And I don't know if you've ever tasted one that hasn't been cooked properly. It tastes like raw flour. It's truly disgusting. The good thing about this is it's very easy to make. You don't end up with the, because I'm going to put flour into here now, you don't end up with that raw flour flavour even before you cook it again inside the tart. It's a good recipe. Right, so that is now ready for the milk. Bring the milk to the boil. And in here, pour a little bit in just to start with, just to loosen it up a bit. What you're after is no lumps, of course. Whisk like crazy. Once it gets a bit runny, you can pour it all in. Right. What's going to happen now, I'm not worried about putting air in this. I'm stirring this with a whisk so that it breaks everything up, make sure there's no lumps. I can smell that grappa. It's such a good smell. Grappa's the spirit that they make from the must of the grapes. After they've made the wine, they squash everything out of the grapes, and they make the grappa, which is the, like eau de vie, the spirit out of the must, which is the end of it. All I got to do is put this on here, and I'm not interested in putting air into this. I want to keep it moving so it doesn't stick to the bottom until it's really thick, and you can probably see that it's thickening up already. If you get a few little lumps in it, don't worry. You can put it through a strainer later. So I've just got to stir this now until... Actually, one of you could race up here and... Paula, do you want to come up here and just keep this moving for me, and I can get on with making the pastry then. You've probably done this before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course I have.
Good. Right, I'm going to make some pastry. This is a pastry that has a little bit of polenta in it, which is made from corn. I've got flour and sugar in there, and I'm stopping because I'm looking over here at this custard that Paul is in charge of, and it's ready. And when you can stir it like that and see the bottom, it's thick enough. And Paula, hold us up a spoonful, show how thick it is. Yeah, see how thick it's quite thick. And of course, when it cools, it'll get even thicker. Yeah. So Paula, if you can throw that through that sieve, that would be really good. Okay? I'll continue with the pastry. So, flour, sugar, polenta, zest of a lemon. There's a bit of lemon going on here. 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder and some nice butter that's been diced up. All I want to do... So I've put all those things in there and whiz them around, and it's like sort of very fine breadcrumbs. Now I'll throw a couple of eggs in there. So it's quite a rich pastry, a little bit like a cookie dough. And as soon as you see it start to form a ball, it's ready. Don't over-process it or you'll have tough pastry. So it's quite a rich pastry, a little bit like a cookie dough. All I'm going to do is tip this out and push it together. I can use this pastry straight away, and I'm going to divide that in half. So it won't hurt to put plenty of flour on this, and I'm going to roll it out, and I don't want it to stick. And about, I don't know, 30 centimetres, quite big. Onto there. I'm going to trim that up just a little. Any cracks, just sort of pinch it together. You don't want any holes that are going to leak the filling out. I think that's looking pretty good. We'll leave that like that. Roll that out. And that looks like it's going to cover that. And this, of course, is still warm, but we do have in our Fisher & Paykel cold drawer one we made earlier. On top of there, don't put it right to the edge. I mean, it looks weird. You think, how can this ever work? I mean, isn't it all just going to spew out everywhere? Well, it doesn't seem to. Those Italian grandmothers got it right. Trim up the edges. And then just flick the edges over. Don't get hysterical and try and get everything perfect. It's a rustic tart. Just push them all over with your thumb, like that. When this tart is in the oven cooking, it fills the kitchen with this beautiful, beautiful smell. It's really lovely. And you look at it and you think, ooh, that's not very round, so you go, okay? Order out of chaos, you make it do what you want it to do. And you've got a Torta della Nonna. But what I need now is some beaten egg to brush the top with. Put plenty of that on around the edges to help stick it all together, as well as make it a lovely brown colour. And then just brush the top all over. Traditional decoration always seems to be the almonds. They always seem to do this. So just concentric rings of almonds. Right, ready to go in the oven. 175, 30 to 40 minutes. European well-browned, not sort of hesitant, timid New Zealand well-browned. Yeah, like really cook their stuff. It's pastry. It should be nice and crisp and well-cooked. That's 30 to 40 minutes in the oven. Nice glaze, almonds have browned up. So you've got this sort of shortcakey sort of tart. Put it on baking paper so you get it off the tray. And then you can just whip that out of there. The only other thing I want to do is dust the top with icing sugar. Not too much, well, a bit of a blizzard, really. So some of that is a very big portion.
I can eat that.
You could eat that?
Yeah.
That's what we like to hear. And some strawberries and red wine on the side. So the only other thing I want with this is some whipped cream. And there you have it. Torta della Nonna with fragile in vino rosso. See. In red wine, thank you. Yeah.